Hello everybody, Handsome Jack Boy here, bringing you guys the 10th episode of my Borderlands, the pre-sequel Legendary Weapons Guide. And in this episode, I'm going to be covering the Flakker. The Flakker is a legendary Torg shotgun, and the prefix for mine is Juicy Flakker. The prefix for you guys might change. Now, as you can see there in the red text, it says, Flak the world. That means that the Flakker has increased damage, consumes 4 ammo per shot, has extremely large spread, and rounds detonate after reaching a certain distance. Now, in order to get the Flakker, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to pick up a side mission from the Triton Flats bounty board called All the Little Creatures. Now, during this mission near the end, you will come up against a even more disgusting Torg, which is the enemy slash boss that you need to farm to get the Flakker. So, luckily, the boss does respawn now. I think they added that in through a patch. Before, you actually had to Alt-Tab out, or I guess depending on whichever platform you're on. If you're on consoles, you had to dashboard out in order to farm this thing. But now you can just save and quit, which is really nice. Now, you're going to want to head over here to Stanton's Liver from Triton Flats, and then make your way to the orange circle on the map. That is where the even more disgusting Torg spawns. So just follow where I go. I do have this sped up a little bit, and you can actually jump this gap right here, which is kind of crazy. Skip pretty much all the enemies in the beginning. You don't even have to really fight anything to get over here, so that's always nice. Makes farming obviously easier, but you really shouldn't have a problem with this boss. If you want to call it a boss, I don't even know if it is one. Doesn't really seem like one, to be honest. I think the real threat are the Torgs that spawn in as backup. They can be a little bit of a challenge and sometimes a nuisance, especially when you're trying to look at the loot. And it can actually be kind of hard to see what you get. For some reason, this area, the way that it's lit up, makes it kind of hard to spot some of the loot that you get. But as you can see, I got the Flakker to drop. Didn't take me too long to get it, surprisingly. I thought it would take longer to get this bad boy, but it took me like, I think, around 10 tries, so not bad. Now, reading under the usage and description section here on the wiki for the Flakker, it says the Flakker is a crowd control weapon. It causes huge damage across a wide radius, but is challenging to apply in common combat. It only causes damage on detonation, which gives the Flakker a limited range in 2 ways. The target cannot be too close or too far. It is very hard to hit a close-up target, as the rounds fly away. For this reason, many players prefer to use the other easier-to-use shotguns that cause more single-target damage. The Flakker has a very low fire rate, making it unsuitable at times. While cocking the gun, players will be vulnerable as they cannot sprint and avoid incoming fire. Players can, however, fire the Flakker much faster by switching weapons as soon as they fire and immediately switching back to the Flakker. This negates its poor fire rate as well as allows the player to sprint in between shots, making the Flakker a much more deadly weapon at close range. The high spread nature of this gun, coupled with the explosive effect, makes it effective against flying enemies within range, as the huge coverage area can help catch swooping targets. A useful method of using this weapon effectively is to fire it from above smaller enemies at their knees. The projectiles often ricochet off of the ground and land their target more often. Now, my opinion about the Flakker. I still don't really know what I think of this gun. It's kind of like half good and half bad. It's hard to explain, but I feel as though a lot of the time I'm missing my mark. Like, it's kind of hard to hit enemies with this gun because the bullets or the explosions just go everywhere, and you don't really have control of that. Now, in this gameplay, I really just did not know how to use the gun. I think over time, with practice, you'll get better at this thing. And it does do a lot of damage. Like, that is one of the best parts about the Flakker, is that the damage is pretty crazy. If you can actually hit the enemies, you're going to do a lot of damage. And especially on Claptrap, with the right setup. I also think this gun is pretty good against large bosses, such as EOS in the Claptastic DLC, or RK5 is another good one. It's really just the small enemies that give me a hard time, unless they're grouped together. It is good for crowd control. Here's a good example. Got 3 enemies that are close together, and it just works well in those kind of situations. But if we're talking about one individual enemy at a time, that's when things start to get problematic, because like I said, you just don't know where the explosions are going to land. You can help this by not getting up close to the enemy, kind of standing a little bit farther away. That does tend to help. I really think it relies somewhat on luck, though. I could be wrong, but that's just what it seems like. And yeah, this gun on Borderlands 2, which, you know, I actually forgot to mention this, but this thing was also on Borderlands 2. And comparing this one to that one, I didn't really notice any differences at all. I think they're both the exact same when it comes to everything. So yeah, I think apart from that, guys, that's pretty much going to wrap it up for this video. I hope you enjoyed this. Be sure to rate, comment, and subscribe for more, and I'm out of here. Peace!